Packaging design is super important. When a designer creates packaging design, there's so many different elements that they have to be able to effectively communicate. As someone who's a designer and who is also visually impaired, this is something that I pay attention to so much. And so today I'm going to be sharing with you a case study of one of my favorite brands, Just Ingredients. And I use a lot of their products because I really like their mission of creating products that have clean ingredients that are going to nourish your body. However, I have noticed with a lot of the products that I get from them that there are things that they could tweak to improve their packaging design to make it more accessible. So I'm going to show you different examples of their products and I'm going to rate them and give them a grade from A to F. So let's take a look at the first one. The first category I'm going to rate is protein powders. All right, the first flavor we're going to go over is mint chocolate chip. So it's super clear, the name of the protein powder. And then down here we have a section where it points out highlights. So it has no artificial anything. There's 24 grams of protein. There's 100% grass-fed and it's from New Zealand. And the last one talks about how it has 5 sources of protein. So my only critique of the front of this packaging is that it's harder to see the numbers 24 grams and 100%. In real life, it's harder than what I'm seeing on the camera because it's like a light mint green. And while I can see it because they're large numbers, it would be nice if it was a little bit of a darker contrast of a green with that white text, or if they use black text like they do up here. See the difference of how legible that text is up there versus down here. All right, so for the back of this one, they're using mostly black text on the green, which I think is great. I do think that's more legible. They have the nutrition facts. The ingredients list is really easy to read. It has a white background with black text. Love that. And then in the instructions section, it has black text on the white background, which is great. Best contrast. They do have some icons here that are the light green. It's totally fine that those are the light green because this isn't information that I need to know. It's more of a decorative element. But however, I'll show you on other ones how it's a lot more legible in a different color. And it makes it so you can focus on the instructions, which I think is not a bad thing as long as it's legible and someone can actually enjoy the decorative element of it. All right, so for the mint chocolate chip, I'm going to give it the grade of a B. I think there's some small tweaks that could be done to make it that perfect A, but it's pretty darn good. Next up, I have vanilla bean, and it's a vegan protein powder. This one uses like a light gray as the overall color for the design, but they still use the white background. So like I was saying earlier, it's a lot easier to read that black text with the colored background. And then this is an even better example of how it becomes difficult to see the white on that gray background. So let's take a look at the back of this one. Ooh, I do like that this one has a black text with the gray background. That really works well. Here, everything is on a white background with black text. And notice the difference of this one from the last one. It uses black for the icons, so they must have recognized that you wouldn't have been able to see the icons very well here if they were in this gray color. And so you can see the difference of how much easier it is to see those. So overall, I would say this packaging, I'd only make one tweak on it, making this text black and these icons black on the front of the cover. So I will probably give this one a B as well. All right, brace yourselves. This one is the worst in my opinion. So this one is Strawberry and Cream's protein powder. It uses a light pink, and once again, the name is in black and the background is pink. Then down here, we have the light pink with text. It's a lot more difficult to read with a white text. I personally have a hard time reading it in person. And then we'll look at the back here. They made what I believe to be a mistake by using white text on the light pink background. I cannot read this. Like, this hurts my eyes to try to read it. Then they also have the light pink on the white background, so reversed here for the ingredient list and the instructions and these icons. Look at the difference between this label for the nutritional facts versus the instructions in the ingredient list. I mean, it's just night and day how much easier it is to read the nutritional facts. Then we just have this bottom stuff. So for the strawberries and cream, I'm gonna give this one an F for sure. Okay, next we have pumpkin spice protein powder. So this one uses a mid-orange color, and if you look at it, it reads fine with the black text, pumpkin spice. If you come down here, because it's mid-range of an orange, you can actually read the white or the black fairly well in this context where the 22 grams is larger than 100%. However, if you look at the text that's orange here, that's smaller, let me back up a little bit how you would actually see it. You can tell that it's a little bit harder to read when it gets smaller and more refined here and not nearly as easy to read. Then if we turn it around, they use white text on the orange on the back side. I personally find this top area quite difficult to read. It kind of like makes my eyes vibrate is how I would describe it. Like they kind of shake or whatever trying to read it because of the vibration that it's creating with the orange and the white text. This isn't the worst, but it's also not the best that I've seen so far. Then when we come down here in the section with ingredients, and the instructions, it has the orange text and it's smaller, more nuanced text. And so I personally have a hard time reading it. I can read it if I strain my eyes, but it definitely takes some work to read it. So for the pumpkin spice protein powder, I'm gonna give it a C. C is passing, but it definitely could use some improvements. All right, next we have chocolate protein powder. Now, my first note is look at how dark that word chocolate is with the black text on the dark brown background. I can still read it because it's large text, so that part is nice. However, it would really stand out and pop and have that good contrast if that text was white. I really think that would really help. With the dark brown on the bottom, it makes it super easy to read with that contrast with the 24 grams of protein and 100% grass-fed. I think that looks really good. And then if we turn it around, they use the dark brown background with white text for the text at the top. I think that's super easy to read because of the color contrast they have going on there. I personally prefer dark colors with white text. That's just depends on the person and what's easier for them to read. The text is dark brown at the bottom for the ingredients and for the instructions. And I think it works here because it's dark enough text that it's not black, but it's, you know, as close as you can get to black without it being black. It's brown. So that works well. And then if you look down here, you can see the difference of how you can actually see that versus the other ones that were the light colors. So this is a really good example. Honestly, the only change I would make on this one is really just changing the chocolate one to white so that when it's on the shelf and when it's in my cupboard, I really can just know that it's chocolate right away. I do think it's still legible, so I would still give this one an A. This one is great. Just plain protein powder. I want you to look at the difference between the last one I showed you with the chocolate and this one. So the just plain is super easy to read because it's a light yellow background. And then the light yellow below, look at the difference of how you can't read that compared to the other one. 22 grams of protein. In person, that one's really hard for me to read. All right, we're gonna flip it over. I am happy to see that they use black text with the light backgrounds on this one. It makes it super easy to read all throughout because they're using the yellow and the white for the background color, and all of it is super legible. I think this one's really good except for these little icons here. I think that these two here are essential information and then these other two are decorative. Also, someone might argue that you could flip it over and see how many grams of protein are in it and read it easily here. But also, I want you as the person creating the products to entice everyone equally. So like this one would be hard for me to read. I'd have to pull off the shelf and read the back. Not a huge deal, but also I want to be able to have the easy access like other people. I think I'm going to give this one a B just because of the few little changes that I would have made. Next, we're going to look at some drink mixes. So electrolytes and collagen powders and that kind of thing. So for this first example, I'm going to show you two side by side. They both use yellow for the color. So I thought I would show you both at the same time to compare it and contrast. Okay, so one is a probiotic drink and one is for collagen. They look very similar. It's easy to read the name of them because they have black text with a yellow background, or the white where it says collagen and probiotics. Then when we move down a little bit, here they have like that it was made by Josh Reed, who is a doctor. And then over here it says no sugar added, but it's in yellow text. Yellow text is always a no. You never want to use yellow text, ever. Ever. Unless you have a dark background, like black or whatever. But if you're using a white background, never use yellow text. And then here are the backs of them. They show the stuff at the top that is with black text with the yellow backgrounds. It's easy to read because it's a light background. And then you have the ingredients instructions on both in black text with white background. Super easy to read it. The only thing is these icons are the yellow colors and they're so hard to see. Like, I can't even see them very well and be able to tell what they are. I only know what they are because I've seen them in other colors on the other packaging. So like if you're gonna make them decorative, you don't need them to meet color contrast, but also make it so people can tell what they are. Like enough contrast that, you know, it's decorative, but also not essential. And then at the bottom, they have this stuff in black. See the difference of the yellow icons versus the black? Way more easy to read the black, eh? So for these two, I'm gonna give this one a B because most of the crucial information is legible, but there are definitely some improvements to be made. All right, next I have a pre-workout drink mix, and this is the strawberry limeade flavor. The text at the top is easy to read with the black, and then once you get further down, it's in the light green, and it's harder to read that, no sugar, especially in person or farther away. And then if you look at the icons, those, oh wow, I couldn't even tell until I looked off the camera. There is text below those and they're in the lime green and I could not read them. So let's get a little closer so you can see that. Yeah, see how there's a little text there? Those are not legible at all. Those should be black text. Then if we flip it over, oh, this one's really bad. Okay, whoo. Even the nutritional facts has green text instead of the black, which I haven't seen yet. So this might be some of the older packaging that I saved, but I hope that's the case because that's not legible and you should be able to read your nutritional facts. I think that should be a regulation overall. And then everything that has the green background has white text and it's really hard to read. The contrast is so low. Same with the instructions and the ingredients. It has the white background with the green text and it's just hard overall to read. This one definitely gets an F. The only thing that you can read is the name of the thing. F. All right, I'm not gonna spend too much time on this one. This one's also a pre-workout. It's raspberry lemonade. Same scenario as the last one where everything is in the pink, all the text, all the icons, everything front and back. It's really hard to read. I do think this one's a little bit more legible than the last one just because the pink is a little bit darker than that light green, but still not great. Can't read it at all. And because it's slightly more legible, I'm gonna give it a D. Next I have the raspberry lemonade electrolytes, so similar but a different type of drink. You can read the title once again really well, and then it's in pink with the icons and the text here. Not great for legibility. You turn it around, okay, this one uses the white text on the light pink background again, and everything appears to be in the pink and the white combo, except for this one actually has the black on the nutrition facts. So that alone is great because then I can actually read that at least at a bare minimum. This is either failing or a D. What do you guys think? I think I'm gonna give this one a D. Next we have grape electrolytes. So this one here follows that same pattern where the title is in the black and then the other information is in the purple. Once again, this purple is a little deeper than those other ones, but still harder to read. It's still difficult for me to read this text on here that uses a thin font. And then on the back, it uses the white text and the purple combination with purple text and white background. You can actually read the nutritional label. This one, for me personally, I would still rate this a little higher than the last one just because it's a deeper purple. So we're gonna go with a C on this one. Okay, the final category is supplements. Now these can be tricky because they're in small bottles, so being able to read crucial information and anything on the bottle is gonna be very difficult for me. like period, like no matter what, even if it has good contrast, even if it uses good letters. If the letters are too small, I'm out. Okay, so the first one is their organ complex. This one is the largest bottle that we'll be looking at, so this is good to keep in mind when we're looking at it. I can personally read the front of this one and what it's saying, so that's really nice. And when we turn it around, this is nice because it's just black text, simple font, super easy to read if you have good vision. For me, I can read it if I squint and think really hard, but my preference is to just find a way to magnify it or whatever. But I would say this is acceptable because I can read it, especially if I use the aid. So I'd say that's great. As far as the nutritional facts go, it's pretty easy to read. So overall, this one I think does a pretty good job. The only thing I don't like is how hard it is to read organ complex here on the front. I think that would work better with white text. But I'm going to give this one an A because I can read it. It just would be a slight improvement. And I think overall it's really good. Next up, we have their adrenal complex. Now the front of it is easier to read because it's using a light salmony pink color. These icons here are kind of pointless in my opinion when it comes to the packaging because they're not even legible. There's words on here that are so small and it's taking up space. I feel like it would be better off if they weren't on there personally, or making them, so it's more easy to tell what it is. But, I'm not going to follow them too much for that. And then the back also has good text, like it's just black with a white background. It is getting smaller the smaller the bottle gets, but that's expected with, I guess, a bottle. I don't know, like this has a lot of negative space. I get it, it's like, so it has that aesthetic look of when it's on the shelf, like there's no like text like wrapping around it, but I also feel like that's a lot of negative space there that's being wasted. So I'd give this one probably a B. Here I have two more medium-sized bottles. These are very similar in style, where they have the color that they picked and then the black text to say what they are, and then the icons and words. Looking at the difference in size of the left one being a little bit smaller than the one on the right, you can really see the difference. You can really see that difference when you look at the icons on them. So even though they're slightly different in size, like it increases the legibility by so much. And then both of these ones are similar, where they have black text to describe everything, and that's great. I'm really happy to see that all these supplements have black text on white background. Super straightforward, just would love to be able to read it better. So I'm going to rank the medium-sized ones just because of size of text and legibility. We'll go with a B or a C. We'll do B. All right, so for the last grouping, it's for the smallest bottles. If we put this one next to it for a second, you can see the difference in size. All three of these are really hard for me to read. I can't read any of them. It's simply just because of the size of the bottle. I believe she determined the size of the bottle with how much of a portion you need per month, but like putting them in a smaller bottle so that they fit, you can fit more, but like it makes it so it's really hard to read. Unless they found like a way to make it more legible. I think it would be nice to up these to the medium-sized bottles. I'm not sure, that's just one idea. These all have like the same similar like black text, but they're just getting really, really, really small on these ones. So I really can't read that. And then the same problem with these icons and everything and the text on the front. It just makes it really hard to see it. If you look at this one, like the text for the name of the complex is really hard to read because of the black text on the darker background, especially when it's really small. So that's multiple factors going against this one. So these smaller ones, it could be a lot worse. So like, just because of the size, I'm going to make these a C. Thanks so much for watching this video. I hope that you were able to learn some key points when it comes to packaging design and how you can apply that to your own designs. If you like this video, then you'll also enjoy the video where I talk about Duolingo and the things that could be improved and that they're doing well on their product. Go ahead and check that video out next. I hope that you all have a fantastic week, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!